Welcome to the Jordan Talks Jiu-Jitsu podcast, where Mike, Joey, and myself discuss all things grappling. All right, welcome to the Jordan Talks Jiu-Jitsu with co-host Uki Mike and Joey Boretski. We've got a great episode for you today, like we always do, right? And I think we do. All right, make sure you guys check out X Martial. Use code Jordan10 for 10% off your order. They have my rash guards, my limitless rash guards, and a lot of cool other rash guards. They even have like that T-Rex arms rash guard I wear. So yeah, make sure you check that out. And before we start, let's just before we start getting into the viewer questions, let's get into how our week went and what we're up to. I know, Joey, you're competing tomorrow. Let us know your feelings on that.
Yeah, I'm competing at the IBJJF Toronto tomorrow. So I've just been kind of getting ready for that all week, and trying to put in the last few rounds, not go super hard and break my body like I tend to usually do, but like just nice and easy. It's been tough. Like I'm really close to making weight. Like I'm a little bit under, but that's when I'm not super hydrated in the morning. So I'm kind of trying to manage the weight the last day. And it's just it's frustrating, when you're right there and you don't want to miss weight, because that's the worst feeling, is to show up to a venue and like you paid the money, you traveled, and then you don't get to compete because you missed weight. So it's the stress of just being like, God, I just got to make sure I don't like accidentally gain like a half pound or something overnight.
Yeah, exactly. Especially this one, because this one costs you a lot of money, I'm sure. Because
yeah, it wasn't cheap.
Yeah, it's his first one as a black belt. And how much did it cost to be a registered black belt under IBJJF?
So I didn't realize that. I didn't have to pay the certification fee to do the tournament. You just have to sign up as an athlete. So it was $40 US to sign up as an athlete. And then the tournament itself was $212 US. Wow. For gi and no gi, which is like
250 Canadian probably.
Yeah, it was something like that. And I signed up before the like price went up. Like I signed up really early. So it jumped like another $50 US if you signed up after. I was like, that's expensive.
Yeah, like they're good tournaments and everything, but like, man, that's just a lot of money to compete.
It's a lot of money, but I figured I'd do it because like we don't get a lot of like IBJJF tournaments and stuff in Canada. I think it's actually the only one we get. It's the Toronto one.
Yeah, we used to have Montreal too, but then now jiu-jitsu is illegal in Montreal, so we don't have that. Yeah, jiu-jitsu is illegal in Montreal. Oh no, not Montreal. Sorry, Quebec.
Jiu-jitsu tournaments.
Yeah,
yeah.
Really?
Yeah, you can do it at the gym, but if you want to test your skills, no luck. It's illegal.
Is that a new thing, or has that always been a thing?
I think it's been illegal for like 10 years maybe. But it's like they've had tournaments, but it's like they've kind of gone around the law. I'm pretty sure. I don't know exactly. I know there's been a lot of problems. I know maybe like 5 years ago there was a tournament scheduled, and like the day of it got canceled because the law got involved.
Come on, Quebec.
Someone snitched to the cops that a tournament was going down or something.
Yeah, exactly.
I remember that story. But I know they've had a couple on like native reserves out there, because it gets a little lawless sometimes and different regulations. But
well, same thing with MMA. MMA is illegal there too. So that's where I fought basically most of my fights were in on a native reserve in Quebec, because it wasn't legal in Ontario or Quebec at the time. Now it's legal in Ontario under like pancration. So like that's kind of the way they get around it. But yeah, like the problem with the government making it illegal is that it makes it more dangerous for the athletes, right? Because there was no like doctor, there was no blood work, and there was no like there's nothing legit, when I had my fights. So it's kind of like a sketchy thing. Even the weigh-ins, like you could just do weigh-in through a FaceTime on Facebook. And I'm pretty confident the one guy I fought, he did not weigh 170 pounds, because he's freaking way bigger than me. He must have been like, oh man, maybe like 200 pounds. And when I remember seeing him, like, I gotta fight that dude. And like, it's just so sketchy. So yeah, the government making it illegal actually really harms the athletes, and it's really messed up they do that.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of like actually having like regulation for like, especially like amateur and professional sporting event, just so that it's safer. Like I know people don't like the like idea that you have to jump through hoops to like get blood work to do an amateur fight, but like it's a lot safer than, doing fight with someone who hasn't done blood work and like, I don't know what you've got going on. And let's be honest, a lot of fighters aren't necessarily like the cleanest of people. So
yeah, exactly. It was this kind of thing. You just hope for the best. You just hope you don't have AIDS after or something like that. Right. But it's just too bad. But I had a lot of fun fighting those fights, so I can't complain too much. Yeah. But what about you, Mike? What's new with you?
Last weekend went on Average Joe Jiu-Jitsu podcast with Craig. It was really good. It was really fun. We got pretty deep into all the all the stuff that I usually talk about on here. And yeah, it went really well. About an hour. It's good fun.
Yeah. What's it like being on someone else's podcast?
It was nerve wracking. You know, nervous I am when I do this. It was worse, but I played it off as best I could.
Yeah, good. Yeah, I don't think anything is too new with me. Yeah, not really. So nothing really to go over. I mean, it's the same old stuff. I have some like newer videos planned, like different type of content I haven't done before. So I'm excited for to start doing that kind of stuff. And yeah, other than that, things are just same old. So
any updates on your training for your upcoming fight?
Not really. I did some sprints yesterday, and that's why I'm like super tired. And like every time I do hill sprints, like I'll feel good for like the first two, and then like 3 and 4 come, and I'm like, I just like my whole time I want to quit. I don't want to do any more. I want to make excuses to like why I don't want to finish like doing 8 because I do 8, and but every time I've done all 8, so proud of myself. But man, I feel like sick after like doing those sprints. But it's so hard on your central nervous system. It's just very similar to like, lifting really heavy, doing like your 1 rep max. It's like very like for deadlifts, for example, and it just like kills you the next day. So you can only do like really heavy lifting or like really hard sprinting like 1 or 2 times a week. Anything more than that's like unsustainable for sure. And even that's pretty unsustainable. It's it's very hard. So yeah, we'll take some viewer questions, and we'll start off with Kareem. We'll start off with Ian.
Hi guys, this is Ian from Ireland. I'm a big fan of the show. My question is about competing in absolute divisions. So recently I competed in absolute division with almost a 40 kilo weight difference and found it a bit of a shock because I'm not used to rolling with guys that size, and having that much of a difference in size did make a difference as far as me being able to move. So what would your best approach be when there's a significant weight difference, say 20 kilos or more, in an absolute division competing? How would you kind of approach it, and kind of what tactics would you take in training to just prepare for that if it does end up being the case? Thanks.
Yeah, so it's pretty tough, like going up against people that are like way bigger than you, and that's just like reality. And then the best thing to do to to help that disadvantage is to actually have a game plan. And one thing I've been changing my mind about lately is like taking the back of bigger opponents, because I realized it actually like it's good to have the back, but it's also like hard to hold the back on someone big. It like tires me out, like just trying to control them and stop them from escaping. So instead, what I've been doing is trying to get to mount, and just being really heavy in mount, side control, going like body lock, not letting them move, like and I'm having a lot of success with that. It's just hard because you got to get the person down first, or you pull a guard, you have to sweep them. So like that's the real challenge, is to actually get on top. So yeah, my approach, because I've competed against a lot of bigger dudes, is like try to get the takedown and try not to rush it too much, because if you really try to be like explosive to like really get something fast, it's like your strength against theirs, and it's going to tire you out very quickly. So the worst thing you want to do is be tired against someone that's a lot bigger than you. I know, Joey, you're planning on competing in the absolutes on the weekend. What's your approach?
My approach when I do the absolutes is just try not to get hurt. Yeah. I'm a really small guy. Like I weigh 150 pounds. The last 3 tournaments I've done the absolute for all of them. I think the smallest person I've gotten in the first round was like 250. I don't know why. I have some weird luck where I always draw the biggest guy in the division, and I always get smashed. It's terrible.
Yeah. Well, it's harder because you are a smaller guy too. So like the weight difference is quite substantial.
Yeah. Like the one tournament I did probably like a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, he was quite literally double my weight. Like I think he was 2 pounds more than double my weight. And I pulled guard, which was probably not smart, but I have bad knees and I hate wrestling, especially against big guys. So I pulled guard and immediately just got smashed.
Well, what kind of takedown, if you were going to go for a takedown, what would you go for against someone that's so much bigger and stronger?
Probably something that keeps his weight away from like my upper body. Like I wouldn't want to shoot like a double, because if you get sprawled on, you're going to get stuck there. And I've had that happen in matches and absolutes where I shot a double, got on the legs, and they sprawled. And then we just spent, 6 minutes in me just being sprawled on, which is like, sure, he didn't really do much, but he won because he sprawled on me, and I felt terrible for 6 minutes. So I think I'd probably maybe look for more things like ankle picks or trips. Like in my experience, not everyone, obviously some people are really athletic, but like really big guys tend to not be like the absolute best at like agility and movement and balance. So sometimes you can really get lucky and like catch trips if you force them to move quickly.
Yeah, that's true. And for me, like, you know, I used to be like stubborn and like would just want to go for things anyways, like kind of like disregarding their weight and be like, screw it, you know, because you can like shoot in fast for like a single leg on someone big, because most of the time they are a little slower. But then like I find the same thing. It's just like their leg is so freaking heavy and it's like tiring me out trying to actually lift it and keep it up. And they're like trying to sprawl on it, bringing their weight down. And so I'm trying to approach things smarter now and be less stubborn and not be like, oh, I can do it anyways. And like the best thing for me is to get the body lock, but the hard part is getting there, you know, because again, these people, they've got strong overhooks, they can pummel really good, like good upper body strength. So yeah, if you can get the body lock, that's definitely ideal. But yeah, ankle pick, like fake guard pull ankle pick, that's what I use all the time on big guys. But the problem is now people are starting to catch on, right? So like they know that's something I do, and I kind of screw myself there. And it's not really available as much in no-gi. Like it's still possible, but pretty unlikely for sure. What about you, Mike? Do you even do any takedowns? Like how's your takedown game?
Yeah, my takedown game is pretty light. I do a lot of single legs if I do it. And if I'm going against a big guy, I don't know why this is, but I always pull guard. Yeah. It's silly, I know. But I pulled them on me, and for 4 minutes, I just defend. And when there's 2 minutes left, they're usually suck and win pretty bad. So that's when I attack, and it usually works out pretty well.
Well, the thing is with that, it's like you got to pick the lesser of two evils, right? You got to pick, am I going to try hard to get the sweep or try hard to get the takedown? They both result in the same result, right? And so it's good to be on top. But yeah, both are very challenging. So you got to pick your poison, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a tough thing. Like I wish there was like a magic, you know, or like a perfect answer to like how to beat big guys. But just the reality is, it's just hard, you know. And I've had success with it, but I think people got to make like it's important not to make any mistakes. Like it's very hard. Like I'm competing, like I roll these big dudes. Like I'm working very hard, and like my mind is completely like focused, dialed in, making sure I make no mistakes.
The other thing, like if I could give a piece of advice from my experience, is usually absolutes are done after the weight class divisions are going. So if you're getting a really big guy, odds are if he's done his division and he's an absolute, most big guys don't have as good of cardio as small guys in general. So like you can try and maybe use like a pace and cardio to tire people out. And like Mike said, like if you can drag people later into a round and just survive, make someone work and wait till they're tired to maybe use more of your offense, that can sometimes work.
That's very true. Exactly.
That's what I do.
Yeah, that's really my only hope in absolute divisions.
And that's a tactic too, that can help you to get to get them tired. So like, you know, not try to rush anything. It's like take your time and have the wrestling, the takedowns kind of tire them out a bit before you actually start, you know, putting on the pressure even more. And for when it comes to absolute, I don't know if you ever had this problem, but have you ever like, you know, won your division and like you're thinking, well, I could do the absolute, and then but I might lose and end up being like have like a negative tournament experience. I just want to keep it happy, you know. So I think a lot of people kind of have that at times, and I've had it too. It's like I don't really want to do this because, you know, I've already won. I feel good, and I can just go home feeling like a winner. Or I don't want to risk losing, but then at the same time, I could risk even more glory and get that, and then that's nice too.
Yeah, I've never went to the absolute division before. I have made it to the podium, but after that, I was just like, yeah, I just want to go home. After that, I was so tired and burnt out.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever not done the absolute when I could have. Maybe like once or twice, like. But pretty much I've done it every time, and every time, well, not every time, most of the time I don't want to, but just force myself. I'm going to do it, sign up for it, and just see how she goes.
I've only skipped the absolute division once when I was eligible, and I think it's because I had like two athletes that I had to coach, and the absolute division was at the same time, and like just for stress. But I like doing it. Like tournaments are expensive, and I'm pretty cheap, so if I'm already there, I've like, it's just more matches, it's more experience. You might as well do it.
Exactly. I don't like letting myself down too, like letting my, you know, I guess nerves or I guess insecurity too, like to possibly lose, beat me, right? Like I'd rather lose to someone else than lose to myself. So like, yeah, I think it's important to do things anyways, even if it scares you. So we'll take a question from Mike.
Yo, I would love if you could answer how to overcome injury fear, because I've been injured, like I've had broken bones, I've had dislocated kneecaps, and at this point I'm very scared when I go into competition, especially like I can't even imagine going into competition. So how do you overcome this fear of injury always?
Yeah. So, I mean, I guess if you're getting hurt that much, maybe you have to reflect a little bit on your style and the way you approach jiu-jitsu. Like, I don't know for a fact because, I've got no idea your circumstance, but to get hurt that much, I feel like you must be rolling, like you might be rolling a little bit, without the side of caution, right? And kind of like being a little reckless to your own body, just because that's like a lot of like to break bones and stuff like that, unless you're just very unlucky and having like a bunch of freak accidents, right? So yeah, I would say just like the most important thing is to change your approach to training and approach like rolling safely as a priority over like rolling to win. I think that's really important. And also purchase my my performance longevity jiu-jitsu course because it goes over like mat safety and all the things you need to do to keep your body safe. So what do you think, Joey?
I'm pretty injury prone. I've had a lot of freak accidents, but I've also had a lot of injuries that are just like my own stupid fault. Like I've let my arm get broken in a tournament. Like that's just my own stupid fault. But like, you do jiu-jitsu long enough, you're going to base funny and like a finger gets jammed and breaks, or like I've had my kneecap dislocated, complete accident. It happens. Yeah. Terrifying, but
my fault.
Yeah. And it's one of those things like, am I scared that it's going to happen again? Yeah. Like, it's always kind of in your mind, like when you move and you feel your knee and you're like, oh God, please. Like I had my knee locked the other night with someone, I forget who I was rolling with. And I just reached both hands down to grab my knee to panic. And it wasn't anything, nothing popped funny, but it was like, it locked. And like, there's a panic moment where you're like, not again. Like, I don't want to go through this again. But you just kind of have to understand that like, as you get better at jiu-jitsu, you're going to learn when things are in danger and when they're not. And like, what you can play around with and what isn't okay. And you have to kind of let some ego go. Like there are times where I tap to things that aren't really a submission, but I just don't like the way my knee is bent or like like I feel like something's compromised and just like, hey, tap. Or sometimes you can even ask your partner like, hey, can we stop for a sec? I don't like where my knee is. Like I tapped myself out trying to calf slicer someone because I put the calf slicer on. Just the way they turned to react, my knee turned funny and I just stopped. Hey, oh, sorry. And they're like, I wasn't doing anything. I'm like, I know, but I didn't want to hurt my own knee. So like, let's just reset and, go from there.
Yeah. I find it pretty telling that most of our injuries have been when like we were newer in the sport and we were younger too. Like I would say like 99% of my injuries were probably like blue belts and below, blue and white belt. That's like I hurt the most. And I feel like I've gotten hurt like barely at all since getting my brown belt. Really, it's ever since like I had like one knee surgery when I was a brown belt, but since then I haven't got hurt or any major injuries since then, because I think my approach to training has changed, and my awareness of what's safe and what's not has changed a lot too. Like you being like not an older grappler, but
I am.
Yeah, a
you
little
can
bit.
say it.
Yeah, like I think like injury prevention is even more important. And how do you approach that?
Well, plus I totally get where this guy's coming from because I've dislocated my kneecap 3 times during classes. And I was terrified to do a tournament or to roll one time I took a year off. I was there for 2 weeks, then I came back after a year. I was so terrified. But I went and saw a specialist. I got a knee brace made proper for my knee. I wear it every time I roll now, and I have no problems at all. And after a while, the fear goes away. You just kind of forget that your knee's not in danger anymore when you're wearing that brace. So I'd suggest, him possibly seeing a specialist if his kneecap keeps popping out and get a proper brace for it, because mine's been gold since then.
And the majority of your injuries, it sounds like they've been as a white belt and as a beginner too, right?
Yeah, all white belt, none at blue belt. Yeah.
And do you feel like you feel less fear now? And I would say that probably for the same reason I mentioned, it's like you just kind of understand what's safe and what's not, how to keep yourself safe. So I think that kind of stuff comes with time and just the mindset too. Because if you like roll really hard and without understanding what's going to hurt you, you're going to get hurt much more for sure.
Oh yeah. And I still, when there's a brand new white belt, I still am a little tentative to roll them at first, right? I try to go with like baby gloves, you know what I mean? I really am nervous rolling them because I've always got hurt with brand new guys.
Yeah, I think it's important to roll with people that have the same objective in jiu-jitsu, which is like to not get hurt, right?
Yeah.
Because if you have 2 people that don't want to get hurt, it's pretty unlikely they're going to hurt each other. But you have someone like, a new person, they don't give a shit. They don't know what's going to hurt them, what's not, what's going to hurt you and what's not. And they just go crazy and not good. So I recommend that too. Don't roll with like brand new white belts. Like they can be reserved for like, you know, the higher belts that are, you know, a little younger and everything can handle them for sure.
For sure.
Cause I like rolling with new white belts that are crazy and trying to like kill me. I'll like tell them after, like, you know, you got to chill. But I actually like it because it kind of simulates a fight a little bit. And, yeah, I'm down for that, but I can understand why a lot of people wouldn't enjoy that. So, we'll take this one from Paul.
Hey, Jordan, Mike, and Joey. My name's Paul. I'm a blue belt. I got a question for you guys, but first I just want to say thanks so much for the podcast. The quality and the content's really excellent and it's been extremely helpful for my journey. So I have a question today with regards to injuries and gym fees. I have an injury recently. It's put me out of the gym for months. It may be about 3 to 6 months before I can get back and roll. I spoke to my coach about this, and they seem extremely unwilling to even just put a pause on my membership for a month or two. Unfortunately, I can't really even much work technique at this point, so I can't get any benefit out of it. And the mat fees themselves are really pricey. So I just want to hear you guys' thoughts on it. What do you do in your gym? Is there another way for me to approach it? To hear back, and appreciate you.
Yeah, so that's really messed up. And the truth is that a lot of coaches, a lot of gym owners are like very money hungry, and they put profits over people. And, you know, I have a lot of opinions on that, which probably piss off a lot of gym owners because it pisses me off, like seeing how much they just try to like squeeze out every dime they can from people. Like if someone's hurt and they can't use their membership, like, well, why would you want to charge them still? You know, like that's like unethical in my opinion. And, yeah, I would never do that. It's like as soon as I don't even have a cancellation fee at the gym. So if someone wants to cancel right then and there, it's done. I'm not going to charge them. Like, you know, I don't have like contracts, anything like that. And I think that's a better way to approach your business. And I think if you have to have like long-term contracts and try to keep people paying when they can't, it's like, it doesn't create a good gym culture. And that negative experience often makes you less money over time. So I really like not being like that.
Yeah, if you can't train and your coach, I mean, it's different if you're injured and you're going to be out for like 2 weeks. Like, you probably shouldn't expect someone to put a membership on hold for 2 weeks because that's just really inconvenient for everybody involved and honestly, like, not worth it. But if you're going to be out for multiple months, if your coach isn't willing to put your membership on hold for that, it warrants a conversation about like the value of their product. Like, ultimately, when you sign up for a gym, I know a lot of gyms preach this stuff of like, you know, we're a family and we're a team. Ultimately, you're paying for a product. Like your training is a product. What instruction is a product. And if you can't use that product and you're not getting that product by being able to go there through no fault of your own, you shouldn't be being charged for that. Like, I understand too, if you're in a contract where it's like, you have to lock in for a year, which we can get into a debate. I don't think gyms should be doing stuff like that. I personally hate it. But if you are in one of those situations, obviously they should be willing to put it on hold and just extend the duration of the contract.
Yeah, they should be. But that's just the problem. Gym owners, like, they try to get most of them try to get as much money out of you as possible. That's why they do like, you know, uniforms, like mandatory uniforms. And they say, oh, it's because we all want to be a team, look like a team. But it's no, because you're getting more money this way, and it's pretty obvious.
Same with the belts too, right? Like when you do, when you give somebody a new belt, they do a big ceremony and charge for it in a lot of places, do they not?
Yeah, some places that will charge for it, and yeah, it's pretty lame because, you know, if like the belt only costs like like $6, like that's how much it cost me wholesale, $6 Canadian. So it's probably like, I don't know, $4 or $5 American. And like, you know, if I were to charge like $50 for like a grading fee or even $100, like a lot of gyms charge, it's like, you know, what is the person really getting out of that? I feel like, you know, just part of their membership should be that I grade them. You know, they should have to pay extra.
Well, plus kids go through so many belts by the time they're 16. Yeah. That's a lot of grading fees. That's a lot of, you know, wow, man.
That's a lot of money.
Car for the instructor. No, yeah. I definitely agree. Like, that should just be a part of your membership. Like, part of doing jiu-jitsu is getting promotions, and that should just be a part of my membership. I shouldn't have to pay extra. Yeah. I've flip-flopped on the team gis though, like so many times on how I feel about it, because at the same time, like, I think for competitors, I wouldn't have a problem with it. Like, if your gym had like a competition team and like, listen, if you're going to compete, you got to wear like a team gi or something, because like you look at any sport, all the team has the same jersey. Like, you all look the same. It's like a sense of hegemony kind of thing. Like you all want to represent the team, you wear the jersey. Like you can't play for the Toronto Maple Leafs and just be like, I don't like the blue jersey, I'm going to wear a purple one. Like, no, you want to be on the team, you wear the jersey. But for practice and like in the gym, you should be able to wear whatever you want. It doesn't change anything.
Yeah, I agree. Like, what do you think about like UFC? They have to have, their uniforms. I liked it better when they could have their own sponsors and everything. I think it's kind of similar in that sense. It's like, they're trying to say they want to make it look more professional and this and that, but in reality, the UFC just wants a cut of that profit.
Well, they were saying they didn't like it where it said like Condom Depot on guys' shorts. Meanwhile, they advertise on every post in the UFC. There's more. It looks like a NASCAR jacket.
It gets worse and worse.
Yeah.
I think what they didn't like is that they're not getting any money for the short saying Condom Depot. Whereas if they can slap a Monster Energy logo, the UFC gets a bunch of money and the fighters get some pennies.
Which is the same for like gym owners. It's like they don't want other brands to be making the money, and they want to make the money for themselves, right? Which, I prefer people buy the gym gi because it does help me out instead of some random brand that, probably doesn't really care about them. But, what I prefer and what I make mandatory is very different, So it's like that with a lot of things that like some beliefs I have, like they might differ from like what I think should be like legal and illegal, like in the world. But, these things can be two different things. So like it's, it really frustrates me that gyms are like that.
Another issue with like mandatory gis is like I have a really weird body shape. I have a very hard time finding gis that fit me comfortably. And if your gym offers like one style of gi and it's mandatory, well, if that doesn't fit me well, would I just have to wear a terrible fitting gi, like one that's too tight or a super baggy, just because you won't let me try a brand that actually fits me correctly? And another thing I've seen is I know a couple of gyms who do mandatory gis, and I've looked at their sizing and they do like a unisex gi kind of thing. My wife's a really small lady. Like she's 115 pounds right now. I've never seen a unisex gi that's even remotely close to fitting her correctly. So what would she do in a gym like that? Just wear a gi that's made for a 150-pound man because that's the smallest gi they sell?
Yeah, because, the gym owner's priorities matter more than the student's priorities, right?
Yeah.
And their comfort level.
Why would they buy a bunch of super small gis for... Like, let's be honest, the amount of women in jiu-jitsu is so much smaller than the amount of men. And the amount of women on like the small end of the size spectrum obviously is going to be even smaller. So like it wouldn't make sense for a gym owner to buy a bunch of gis for someone who's 110 pounds because you might only have one member that size.
Exactly. And if you want people to buy your gym gis, have them look really nice and have them be great quality and great price and make people want to buy them and rep them, not like you have to wear them, have to buy them at a ridiculous price. I know how much gis cost from Pakistan. That's where I buy them. And they don't cost that much, I don't mind sharing information. Like probably like a gi is like, I don't even know, like, 'cause I don't even pay attention that much, but like, I would say like after shipping, probably like $60 to $70 American. So like what most gyms do is they try to charge at least twice the price so they can make 100% profit. But then a lot of gyms go beyond that and they make like 150 to 200% profit. And it's like, all these gis are coming from the same places. They're the same exact quality. It's just like, you just want more for your gi. That doesn't even look nice.
Isn't there only like 2 factories that make gis really? One in Pakistan, one in China?
Well, those are the main manufacturing hubs. Yeah. And just in general, China is better at making rash guards and Pakistan is better, for the most part, at making gis. So like, just something interesting, I think, like Chinese rash guards are always like pretty good.
Is there any in North America other than, is it Origin that Jocko has?
Yeah, or Origin, they're American made. And just the problem with that is that they are very expensive, but people do, some people do have the extra money to support, locally made, right? And, I mean local as in like, American made. And that's great, but it is hard for a lot of people to be able to afford something that is American made because again, it's just, it ends up being like a $250 American gi, which I don't know if I can really, if I'd spend that much on a gi personally, but I do like to support, a made in North America. That's good too.
Yeah, for sure.
It's a lot of money for a gi though. A lot of money.
Yeah, that's the thing. But I mean, if you have a lot of money and you don't really care and, you have money to spend, then that's great for people in that position. For
My
sure.
first gi, when I started, I had no idea what gis cost. I spent $300 on a Hayabusa. I mean, wow. I could have bought 2 gis or one of the ones from Origin and kept it sort of local, at least in North America. But
Yeah.
I'm pretty sad. I found the only gis that I've found that actually fit me really, really well are the Corral A1, the ultralight. And I don't know, like when we started, Corral was like relatively popular. You used to see pro athletes sponsored by them. I'm pretty sure the company's dying. Corral USA will not ship gis to Canada anymore. They will not ship outside of Canada or outside of the United States. So I can't get one of these damn gis anymore.
Yeah, you got to go to the U.S.
It's terrible. So I've been trying to like see if I can get it shipped to a friend in the U.S. and then have them ship it to me, but then like the extra price. And it's like, man, ship me your gi.
You might get an offer after this.
I was just going to say
someone
that.
reach out to me with if you've got a Corral A1 ultralight that you don't want, I will pay you for it.
Yeah, well, one thing I want to mention too, and we can take this out if you don't want it brought up, but Joey might possibly be moving away just because, you know, his contract ended with his job. So I'm just throwing this out there. If anyone has any remote work for Joey that pays well, throw it his way because I really want to keep Joey on the podcast. And I'm sure all the viewers do too.
Yeah, if you have remote work, let me know. Reach out to me. Send me an offer. I can do a lot of things.
Exactly. Joey's a good worker and smart guy. So what do you actually do? You do like biology? Like,
yeah, so I'm like an environmental scientist is my official like title, but I did mostly like fisheries biology and like aquatic ecosystem studies. It's really boring work.
It sounds fun because from what I understand, you just, at times you would catch fish or like catch frogs and bring them from like one lake to another lake or something like that.
Yeah, we do like a lot of studies, like seeing what's in certain habitats and so I spend a lot of days on like boats, like just catching fish, like not with like a rod and reel. Like it's not that fun. Like everyone's like, oh, you just go catch fish for a living. No, it smells terrible all the time. It's my big complaint. It's like hot sun kills you.
So do you fish like for a hobby or you just like, now you don't like want
I used to when I was a kid, but I absolutely hate it now.
Yeah.
Just working around fish so much. Like I can't stand being around fish now. It's amazing how just being exposed to something for so long, you just like, I can't handle it. That's why I don't know like people who do something for a living and then it's also their hobby like outside of your living. That must just like drain on them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in that position. Not that I'm drained or anything, but at times it would be nice for this to only be my hobby. And, it would just be a different kind of, feeling towards it because I do love it and everything. But at times I'm like, damn, I just want to stay home and not train or whatever. But then, but then I go anyways. So yeah, that it's always a risk for sure. The same thing happened to me. I think I mentioned this in another podcast, but I went to school for audio recording. And after I went to school for that, I never played guitar or anything after that very much at all because I kind of lost my love for it. So it's a tricky thing, transitioning from a hobby to it being your profession. You might end up hating it. So far so good with jiu-jitsu. I still love it, but yeah, I think it would be a different approach if I had a different job.
That happened with me for tattooing. I tattooed for 25 years. The first 5 years, it was just a hobby. The last 20, it was not fun after a while. At the end, it takes its toll on your body, but I hate it now. I absolutely hate tattooing now.
Oh man. Yeah. Well, it's hard too because your wrists are kind of messed up.
My wrists, I've had surgery on both my wrists. My back, my neck is messed up from it, from being hunched over in a certain spot. I've curvature. My natural sitting, I sit like a C.
Do you have any funny tattoo stories?
Oh man, there's so many. I don't even know where to start. I had one girl walk in. She was so nervous. I said, she was getting one on her back. I said, okay, hang your coat up and all that and put your shoes over there. She stripped right down to her underwear and just stood there. And I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? And she goes, I don't know. I'm just so nervous. I was like, put your clothes on. Let's get your clothes on first, and then we'll start working on your tattoo. And she's like, oh my God. I thought it was a joke or something. I was waiting for somebody to come around with a camera and say, on TV or something.
The only time Mike's asked a woman to put her clothes on.
Yeah,
exactly.
No, it reminds me of the time I had my vasectomy. They're just like, take your pants off, and like, okay. I was like standing there naked. I'm like, this feels so awkward. Yeah, I don't recommend. Well, no, I do recommend getting it in one sense because it is nice not being able to have kids once you've had 3. But another sense, it's a pretty weird experience. Yeah, it's hard to describe.
Yeah, I've been there too. It is a weird experience. And one nurse held my hand because I was so terrified, and I had to remind her that it was cold in there. I'm not normally like that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's the problem too. You can have good days and bad days that way.
That was a bad day. That was a bad day.
And it's funny, the guy that did it on me, he actually, I don't know if he did jiu-jitsu, but he knew a lot about it because I was talking to him about it. And yeah, that's like we talked about the whole time was jiu-jitsu. And he actually knew like people within jiu-jitsu, like it was a while ago, but yeah, he knew some like figures and everything. So I don't know if he watched it or something, but it was good to be able to get my mind off it while like, you know, things were happening down there.
Yeah, we must have had the same doctor. Was it in Trenton? Because I had same thing. Yeah. The guy was talking to me back and forth about body piercing. He was really intrigued with something that I had done to myself that he could see at the moment when he was doing his work down there.
Well, I think at that kind of job, you'd have to get good at small talk because if you like let the person get too much in their mind, they might kind of like back out as you're doing it or something like that and cause issues. So it's good to be able to keep people's mind off it. And, you know, not to go too far off topic for like jiu-jitsu, but I remember there was the same thing when I was a realtor. I would do home inspections I would be there for the home inspections, and like it'd be like an hour or two of just like, I got to make small talk with these people because we're just waiting for the home inspector to be done. So I don't want to be super awkward just standing there for 2 hours. So like I got really good at making small talk from that. So yeah, there's like benefits to be putting in these like awkward situations that can kind of help you in life.
Yeah, for sure.
So yeah, we'll go back to jiu-jitsu. So this one's from, and first off, before I just want to say, yeah, we kind of got off topic a little bit talking about like gis and stuff like that, but I just want to just kind of reiterate that it's super lame that your gym owner is being like that. When you have an injury, he should 100% put your account on hold, and there should be no questions asked. The fact that he's doing that, I think, is like the sign of like not a very good businessman, not a very good leader, and not a very good coach. So yeah, I could like talk shit all day about like gym owners. I feel like that are just taking advantage of their students. So this one's from Mustafa.
Hey, Jordan, Mike, Joey, love the content. Thanks for it. Kind of got a 2-in-1 question here. First off, what overall tips do you have for wrestlers transitioning into Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu? I've been focusing a lot on guard retention, and I feel like it's been going okay, but I just find that when my guard is on the verge of getting passed, I tend to kind of rely on muscle and really use frames. I just wanted to see if maybe there's something else I could do, because like I want to do this for a long time and I don't want to be using force and especially max effort for the majority of it. But yeah, any answer would be appreciated. Thank you.
Yeah, so first off, that's a great mentality to have, especially as a wrestler, because wrestling, you know, I think it is a lot of like imposing your will on people. So to be able to get out of that mindset slightly for a jiu-jitsu approach, I think is really smart. And one thing I would do is like anytime someone starts to pass your guard, turn towards them and try to get an underhook or grab their legs. And like that's basically what I do for like my late guard retention. I just try to turn towards them, and like I've got like strong hips, so I can like do that. And I remember I was rolling with this small, like a flyweight MMA fighter. His name is James Clark, and he's like, 125 pounds. Well, no, he's probably 140 pounds. Like he fights at 125, maybe like 145, walking around. But yeah, I remember rolling with him, and I was a lot bigger, but like I would pass his guard, and he would just turn towards me and keep grabbing my legs. It was so freaking annoying. And I remember being so like frustrated. Like I just want to pass this dude's guards, like stop turning towards me. It's like, it's working too good. So like, he has a wrestling background and really took that approach to his guard retention. And I remember just like that taught me a lot that day, so I've like really kind of taken that approach too. And I think all wrestlers should do that too, grab people's legs, because they're so used to that.
Yeah. And if you're a wrestler or coming from a wrestling background and you're talking about your guard retention and your guard game, you're already doing something right, because it means you're trying and learning how to play from the bottom. I've seen too many wrestlers who transition who just want to be on top. Yeah. They don't want to learn the bottom game. They just want to do what they know how to do, which is be on top and smash and be wrestlers. And if you're taking the opposite approach and trying to learn those holes that you don't have, that is usually like a sign that you're going to improve and you're going to be able to do this. But like you said, like the more you can turn it into a match that you're familiar with, and the more you can impose wrestling into the jiu-jitsu, the more luck you're going to have. So like, You know, if, like you said, turning onto your side, grabbing legs, you know, the more you can make it a wrestling match inside of a jiu-jitsu match, the hard, like, let's be honest, most jiu-jitsu people aren't fantastic wrestlers. So you'll have a lot of success doing that.
Exactly. And my style is very wrestling heavy, and I don't have a wrestling background. It's just I've kind of gravitated towards those type of things. So I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all, being very wrestly within your jiu-jitsu. And what I recommend probably is, like, you know, some of your roles try to be very wrestly and use like what you know, but then other roles try to like not use your wrestling at all and just be like pure jiu-jitsu, like playing lots of guard and like doing it that way. So you can get kind of a mix of both. You work on all skill sets.
Oh, we should talk about it, not because like we're super into like pro jiu-jitsu or anything, but ADCC is this weekend. So kind of on this topic, one of the trends you see with a lot of the top no-gi grapplers nowadays is they're all becoming really good wrestlers because they have to add that skill in for a lot of these no-gi rule sets. And if you look at like the top no-gi guys and the way they blend wrestling and jiu-jitsu, like it does really help to have both skills.
Yeah, it does 100%. Are you guys going to watch ADCC?
Yes.
Are you guys going to get the Flow Wrestling subscription, the monthly one, so you can not have to pay for a year of Flow Grappling?
Was that what they're doing now?
Yeah. So anyone out there who doesn't want to pay a year to Flow Grappling, pay a month to Flow Wrestling, and you can watch the Flow Grappling for that month.
Is that confirmed that works?
I basically heard it so many times that I can't see it being false. So
I might do that. The problem is I compete on the same day as the first day of ADCC, and I don't want to be like trying to flip back and forth between my own matches and watching.
Yeah.
I'll at least watch the reruns though.
Exactly. I'm pretty sure I'm going to watch it. Like, you know, I don't watch a lot of competitive jiu-jitsu, but I mean, ADCC, it's got me a little excited for sure.
Are you expecting an upset, or do you think that Gordon's going to take it?
I think Gordon's going to take it for sure. I just can't see anyone beating him right now, but you know, in the future, it'd be nice to see someone that could beat him for sure. Yeah. But you know, I don't think it's going to be as close as people. I don't think it's going to be as much of a discrepancy as people think. I think that I don't know. I could be wrong because again, I don't really watch it a ton, but it feels to me like people are catching up slightly to him, or maybe his performances are getting a little less dominant. But that's just what I think. I could be completely wrong.
I kind of agree with that. Do you think, I've been thinking about this for a while, do you think any of that might be a result of like Gordon has obviously taken a big jump into like pushing instructional content and like the content he makes to teach his systems? Like if you were a competitor in his weight class, you would be absolutely foolish not to be watching his things on like body lock passing, like wrestling for jiu-jitsu, float passing, his leg locks, his back taking system, and just looking at what he does. Like he's put out videos of him teaching all of his systems. You'd be crazy not to learn that and try and figure out where there are holes and what you can do to exploit it.
Well, the thing is with like professional grappling is that a lot of them aren't very professional, you know, like they won't put in that work. It's like a lot of athletes, you know, myself included at time. Well, a lot of times it's like, they just think, oh, I'll be fine. I know I don't need to do this. I'll beat him anyways. So I think that might be the approach to a lot of these people. They don't want to like kind of do their homework that way and really like learn about, you know, how to beat him. They're just like, oh, I don't need to do that. I'm good enough.
I feel like if you were an athlete, like doing ADCC and you knew someone was in your weight class, like say Gordon, who has a lot of stuff out there, if you don't want to do it, you should at least have a coach or someone you trust at your gym, one of your training partners. Can you watch that and then bring back that information or like try to mimic this in training so that I know what to expect? Like if you want to be a professional at the high level, you need to have people around you doing that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that is just the problem. It's like grappling still isn't, you know, as professional as it could be, unfortunately. But, you know, it's getting there. It's getting better and better. And what do you guys think? Have you seen how jacked Gordon Ryan is right now? Like he's always jacked, but he's like extra jacked right now.
His Instagram pic, is that the one you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, he is dieseled up.
What do you think he's taken?
Definitely test, probably some Tren, maybe a little bit of Anavar.
Well, I've heard, maybe it's not Tren.
Tren is bad for your cardio.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Exactly.
So if you take it in low doses, I've heard that it can help. But I mean, he is cut, like shredded. So definitely he's taking a cutting agent. Yeah.
I've heard Tren can also alter your sexuality like a little bit.
Really?
That's what I've heard.
I didn't hear that one. Yeah.
Yeah. It can make you a little, like if you're straight, it can make you, you know, not straight anymore. I don't know this from experience or anything. I'm just like, Yeah, that's just what I've seen on like I don't know if you guys watch Derek from More Plates, More Dates.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. I really like his videos. They're funny, and I've heard him like talk about that before, and I think it's kind of interesting.
I've never heard that.
Yeah, or maybe I'm just making it up. Maybe I just like have no idea. No. But yeah, he's definitely taking quite the stack. Do you think guys in ADCC, do you think they're taking EPO, or do you think that's more of like cycling and more of like advanced type of like steroids?
I've never heard of in the jiu-jitsu world of guys taking EPO, but I definitely have heard of people doing a lot of testosterone and throwing in tren and possibly anavar for the females.
Yeah.
This is all speculation, I'd like to say. I don't know anybody that, this is just from the top of my head. I don't know for sure.
Well, I think if people want to have more context and understanding of steroids, they should check out Derek from More Plates, More Dates. And he goes over the videos I found really interesting was the Natty or Not for Kamaru Usman and for John Jones, because Kamaru hasn't tested positive for anything, but Derek has really gone over the classic symptoms and why he thinks that, or classic signs, and he's gone over why he thinks that he is on stuff and what he could be on. And same with John Jones, like analyzing his blood work and whatnot. And it's like quite clear that, that he's been on steroids. Like his estrogen was like super high and his like testosterone was completely crashed. And that's not really possible to be an athlete like that naturally, unless you are doing cycles.
Yeah. Like let's also clear something up here too. When you have organizations that test for performance enhancing drugs, it's less of a drug test and more of an IQ test.
Yeah, 100%.
Like these tests are not difficult to beat if you're not an idiot or you have people in your team who are not idiots. Most drugs you can cycle properly around. A lot of drugs are maskable. A lot of things are just very difficult to test for. Like the development of drugs and performance enhancing drugs will always be faster than the development of testing. It's why you see things like in organizations like cycling, where they keep samples for years afterwards. People test positive from a decade ago for things that they just couldn't test for back then, but now they develop a test. But by now everyone's made more advanced drugs, and especially guys in the UFC like Kamaru Usman and John Jones, not saying that they have taken things though. Like you can watch the videos and like discern for yourself whether or not you think they have, but these guys have enough money to pay people to get them the right things, make the right chemicals for their body to get the optimal results and evade tests.
Yeah, I mean, especially with Kamaru, because his brother is like a pharmacist, so he understands quite well medications and drugs and whatnot. So yeah, it's pretty clear. I mean, if you watch the Natty or Not.
I've heard that over 90% of the people in the UFC are on some sort of performance enhancing drug.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, just look at like Instagram. You see all these jiu-jitsu athletes, like, I don't want to point too many fingers or name too many names, so I won't. But yeah, it's like pretty freaking obvious. Like some of them, like just huge traps and just jacked up shoulders, just like unreal, just like completely shred. And it's really hard to be shredded and still carry muscle mass, because usually what happens, the lower you go in body fat, the lower your testosterone goes and the harder it is to actually gain muscle. So unless you have a very good diet and a really good understanding of how to cut, how to gain, how to cut, to see people at such a level of shred and still have muscle, it's like pretty suspect.
Yeah, I mean, like if you're trying to lose fat and get to these lower weight classes, which pretty much all weight class sports athletes are always trying to like maintain their weight to an optimal weight class, you typically have to find a calorie deficit to lose weight, and then to also be like bulking and getting huge at the same time. Like there's something fishy going on for a lot of these guys.
Exactly. And I remember we got a comment last time we talked about steroids, someone saying that they can't believe black belts are like, okay with steroids or whatever, but which is fine if people disagree. But, I think one thing that was important to point out is if you can't completely prevent it, like if there's no, then people are going to get around it and people are going to do it. And a lot of these athletes want to do it because they want to, train more and be more jacked. Like, I don't think there's a lot of athletes. I'm sure there's some that do it and don't actually want to. I'm sure a lot of them, they're fine with it.
Yeah, and I'm sure you do have some who don't really want to do it, but they feel like they have to because other people are. But like ultimately, it's like we talked about with like regulation for like having amateur MMA and stuff. I would rather at a professional level, instead of having these people have to go, behind the scenes and try and cheat tests and do things to your body. Like if you're trying to cheat tests, maybe you're not like putting optimal things in your body because you're trying to mask what you're taking. You could be doing more damage that way. I'd honestly rather a lot of things just be legalized for it and then have regulation about like how much of this can you take? Like, yes, you can take some testosterone, but like here's a cap for a level. Like, don't hurt these athletes by trying to make them go and skirt around it, because most of them are going to take it. Like, let's be honest.
Yeah, ADCC is kind of like that in the sense that they don't have any testing as far as I'm aware, right?
Yeah, I don't believe they do.
Yeah, so like if you have zero testing, it's quite clear a lot of people are going to do it. Just that's reality. So
when I went off testosterone for a while, I had blood work done. And what it showed was that my body could not handle the amount of training that I was doing with lower to no testosterone. My kidneys were breaking down and my liver enzymes were very high. And as soon as I put testosterone back into the mix, everything leveled out and went back to normal. So instead of training 6 days a week, sometimes 2 classes a night. And at my age, I needed a little bit of help.
But if you were to like listen to people's criticism, people that think TRT is unfair, then you wouldn't be able to train as much as you do, or maybe not even at all.
Yeah, I'd probably be able to train 2 or 3 times a week.
And at a way lower intensity too.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, it's kind of messed up in my opinion.
And
but
for me, that helps my mental state when I train. So it does not just for my body, it's for my mind as well.
Well, you hit an interesting point there. Like as a competitor who has never taken any sort of performance enhancing drug, like for people who don't know me, like I don't even drink caffeine. Like I take nothing. I would prefer my competitors to not be on steroids, but as a spectator of high level jiu-jitsu, I want all of these guys on whatever they want to take, because I want to watch the best athletes at their best. And I want them to be able to train 3 times a day hard and get as good as they can. So like as a spectator, you should want all your pro athletes on whatever they can get their hands on, because you want to watch the best product.
Yeah, like we said last time, I just want to see some jacked up dudes going at it, like let's go. Let's see all the testosterone just pour out of them,
Yeah.
So you're a fan of the 99 kilogram division at ADCC, not those small guys.
Well, I still enjoy that, but I like seeing the big jack dudes for sure. Just like big gorillas going at it.
Yeah, me too.
So we'll take this question from Robert.
Hey, Jordan. Hey, guys. Great podcast, by the way. This is Robert from Wisconsin. Question's kind of for you, Jordan. Just wondering, starting up my own jiu-jitsu gym, any like advice, best tips? I've been doing jiu-jitsu for about 12 years, so I'm a jiu-jitsu black belt. So I'm just curious on how I can have some tips on running my own school. Thanks. Keep up with the content.
Yeah, so kind of what we touched on earlier, it's like put people over profit and you'll make profit. Like my gym makes like pretty decent money, and I think that if I were to only focus on making money, I probably make less or have like a less enjoyable environment even for myself. Because I know some other gyms, well, a lot of the gyms do things a lot differently than we do. Like we really run it as like a mom and pop type shop where it's just like, just chill, having a good time, not like super commercial, which, some people enjoy that aspect of it, but like sometimes you can go really too commercial and it's just not enjoyable for anyone. So I would say, just like make sure that the gym is the way you want it and not necessarily set up like for the maximum profit and thinking profits only. It's like, if you like, that's what I really transitioned to as much as I can now. It's like, well, as a lot now, it's like I really made the gym how I want it, how I enjoy it, rather than like, okay, this is like the best thing to do to attract more members, but I don't necessarily like it. So that's really important, because you'll burn out and just not like it anymore. Because for example, I would just try to get like a max amount of like kids in the class, and just so like they're all signed up, and just like freaking like a mass amount, like just unreal, like no space anywhere. And that's not a great product for the kids, and not a great it's really stressful for us too. So every September we'd have like so many new kids, and just like it would stress the shit out of us. But now I didn't do any marketing for the kids programs, but they're all doing well because we retain people so well. So if you focus really on retention rather than getting new members, then you won't need new members all the time. You won't need to constantly get new members. So it's like, a lot of gyms are just like trying to pump people through the doors. But again, if you do that, your retention will worsen and you'll lose people. So I think that's one thing our gym's always been really good at is like retention. And you'll see like, not that like we don't have much of a quit rate as like other gyms. Like a lot of times people will join and they'll stick around for a long time. Like a lot of people have been there a long time, like the same faces you've seen for a long time. So I think that's really important. Yeah. Just focus on retention over, constantly getting new students, and that'll be a really good thing. So that's my, I could talk about like gyms and stuff forever, but that's like my main advice for sure. So this is one from Anthony.
Hi guys, it's Anthony again. I like to play bottom half with the knee shield. I've been told recently that by going straight to bottom half, I'm giving my opponent ground without them actually having to work for it, and that I should start off in, spider guard or lasso or, X or whatever, something before going to bottom half. I don't disagree, but I'm curious to hear what your thoughts are on that. Thanks.
So I don't really disagree. I don't really agree with people that think like half guard's like a bad thing or something. Like I feel like there's this like weird mentality lately in jiu-jitsu where it's like half guard is bad and knee shield is like easy to pass or something. Person can just stand up, but not everyone wants to stand up and pass and use speed passing. So if they don't stand up, you can't use lasso. Well, you can a little bit, but you can't really use lasso and spider guard and X guard. That's more. Well, you can at times, but overall, it's easier to get into those things when they're standing. So if someone's trying to go like chest to chest half guard on you, and smash you that way, a knee shield is a really good thing. And I remember, especially as like a blue and purple belt, I'd pull half guard all the time. And like I pull them right to my half guard and work my half guard. I still play tons of half guard. So in my mind, I think of half guard is like halfway to the back, but some people have the opposite feeling where they feel like it's halfway past the guard, which I 100% disagree with. Half guard to me is better than closed guard because it's so much more, you're way more mobile, and I think a lot of more options available. So yeah, what do you guys think?
I love half guard. I play a lot of half guard, but a lot of my bottom game is designed around scooping underneath people, which you really can't do from a closed guard because your own leg is in the way.
Yeah.
Whereas half guard lets me get underneath. I do think that it's maybe a little less defensively sound than like a closed guard or like a collar sleeve where you have both feet because you are giving them some ground. But like, bear with me while I give a really poorly thought out analogy. Like if you look at like American football, when they snap the ball to the quarterback, the closer he is to the other team's end zone, the further he can throw it that way. But he doesn't stand as close as he can to like the guy snapping it because he needs to back up to give himself the space to look and make the right choice. So like if you were just looking at it in a vacuum and saying, well, wouldn't he want to be as far forward as he can to throw it? Sure, but optimally sometimes in a sport, you have to make choices that are maybe not like the most theoretically correct to win. Like half guard, sure, I have a little less control over you, which isn't theoretically optimal for jiu-jitsu, but it gives me my options that I like. It lets me assess like what's happening where I'm comfortable, and you're always going to have more success being in a comfortable spot rather than an uncomfortable spot, even if the uncomfortable spot is more optimal.
Wow, that was actually a really good analogy, especially for someone that doesn't watch football at all. Because at first you're talking about football, I'm like, shit, I don't know anything about this. But then you're like saying it, I'm like, this does make sense. Yeah. I understand this.
Well, it's like in soccer too. Like occasionally you have to pass the ball backwards. Yeah. Like, is that optimal? No, you're not going towards the other net, but you need to, change things. Sometimes going forward all the time isn't the right answer. You have to do things that are counterintuitive. Maybe
a good analogy with soccer, because I play soccer, is like, closed guard's kind of like, you're closer to the net, but there's like a shield of people right in front of where you're kicking. So it's like hard to actually like, get around that shield, right? Where it's like half guard, maybe a little further away, but the net's further away, but you can actually get around that shield of people. So yeah, I like those analogies, and it's true. Like, people shouldn't have that mentality with half guard. I feel like maybe those people just don't have good half guards, or they just assume everyone's always going to stand up and pass that way. So yeah, we got to get that idea out of people's heads.
I pull people into half guard all the time. That's where I love to be, or Z guard, whatever you want to call it. I love it.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's a strange thing that's like happening now. There's like people are anti half guard. So let's go with last viewer question. Oh, I know we probably do one more after this. Let's go with a viewer question from Zane.
Hey guys, my name is Zane. I am a mid-level blue belt trying to climb that ladder up purple. Recently I've been trying to kind of sit back and self-analyze my game, I guess, figure out where my holes are, fill in any gaps. My coach got me started me doing a jiu-jitsu journal and kind of doing like a positional guide, kind of write out each position, write down what I like to do from there, strengths, weaknesses I have, stuff like that. So I was just curious how you guys go about analyzing your game as a whole and what methods you guys like to use. Thanks.
Yeah, so I think a journal is a decent idea. I know, Mike's had a lot of success with that. And before we go with his answer, I'll just say my answer first, which is basically, I think the best way to analyze your game is to watch video on yourself. Like, watching myself roll so much with the YouTube channel, I've like learned so much about myself and just how grappling works in general. Like, I think I already had a great understanding, but it's like now I really understand well. It's like I can see things so clearly now. It's like, it's like it's a cool thing that way. And you know what's funny too? Sometimes I'll roll with people and they'll tell me that they can hear my commentary like in their head as they roll. So yeah, it's funny how it's happened that way. But Mike, how's your experience been journaling your jiu-jitsu?
I love it. After every class, I write down what I did, what I didn't like about what I did, what I needed to improve on, and I look back and see if I've improved on it from a month ago. And just before we started this podcast, I was saying I want to start filming my rolls every night because I want to be able to analyze it too.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's no better way. And, I have a video coming out. It'll be like out 2 days after this podcast is up, and it's how to get better at jiu-jitsu quickly. And I go over that, how you should review your rolls. And you can self-analyze it yourself. You can self-analyze it yourself. That sounds weird saying, but yeah, you can analyze it yourself, or you can get a coach to do it through private lessons, because I think that's a better use of private lessons, is like showing your coach the footage of you grappling and then them kind of correcting, what you did wrong and everything. So I like that.
That's something I've recently started offering. Like when I teach privates now, instead of just doing the traditional, like come in and show me moves, is I'll get them to roll with someone or get them to record rolls before it and essentially send me the video and like break down what's actually happening. Because I think that is a problem with a lot of private lessons, is people just come in and it's like, this is advice, but it's not really where your holes actually are. Like sometimes just having someone, and not always necessarily like your coach, it can be like just a person you roll with a lot of the time is really good. Like if you have a person you're really competitive with at the gym, maybe ask them like, hey, like, can you analyze my roll with you and like talk to me from your side about like what I'm doing wrong, where you're seeing holes, because they're going to know your game really well.
Exactly. I think that's the future of jiu-jitsu improvement, is video study. And I've been saying that for a long time. And it's because so many other sports do that. It's like, I know golf, it's like people, they analyze their swings in like video format. And like, why should jiu-jitsu be any different? It's like, especially with like people have such great cameras nowadays on their phone, and they can slow it down and everything, as long as you record in 60 frames per second, and then you can then slow it down to 30 frames. And then, it's like slow motion helps you see so much. So yeah, I think that's going to be like a big thing within jiu-jitsu very quickly. It's like, that's going to be like the way people do privates. They record, the video first.
Hell, I'm unemployed now, so if you take a video and send it to me, I'll do it for a good price. I'll give you a nice review.
It's actually a really good idea. I never even thought about that. Being able to send in my roll to like black belts and have them analyze it and tell me what I've done wrong. I've never thought about that.
Yeah, I was telling this idea to Bernardo Faria when I was there, and he liked it. But then, my kind of idea was like, okay, get like jiu-jitsu athletes have been on BJJ Fanatics and get them to like kind of do it that way, right? But then the problem is that a lot of people, they aren't like a lot of athletes. I'm not saying all, but many of them like aren't always like on the ball and professional at times. Like they're just like kind of busy with stuff. So I think that's a really good business idea. And Joey should do that, because you can make a lot. Like you should do that, Joey. You can make a lot of money, because the online private I do, when I do online privates, I got 2 students right now. I charge $100 for half hour, which is like pretty good money. And I don't do a lot because I'm busy, so I don't like promote it. But like, that's like $200 an hour. It's like that's a lot of money for someone that like doesn't have a college education, right? So like, I think that you could do that, Joey. And, you know, you might have to like do it of a lower price just because, you know, the YouTube channel to kind of help me, you know, like be able to charge more, but I think you could still charge a really good price and make good money.
It's something I've been thinking about because I think, and I've had this conversation with a few people, I'm actually like, I think my biggest skill in jiu-jitsu is not like my actual jiu-jitsu technique or skill. I think my biggest skill is that I'm a really analytical person and I'm good at like looking at things and breaking them down. Anyone who's rolled with me, like I'm not strong, I'm not really athletic, but I'm really good at like using my brain almost. And I think that's maybe part of the problem with having like people do it for like BJJ fanatics is a lot of competitors aren't really analytical people. Like a lot of good athletes, even in other sports. I mean, I've played other sports at decent levels, even not being athletic. Most really good athletes aren't necessarily the smartest of people or the most analytical. They're just really good at doing. Yeah. And that's why I think it's necessarily, like, if you're going to send your videos in to someone to review, you want to find someone who's good at not necessarily like the best jiu-jitsu athlete you can find, but someone who's good at looking at a film and finding what you could work on, where the holes are. And that's something that like is really evident with your YouTube channel. Like you watch these rolls, and I think part of the reason people really like your content is because you are really good at looking at a roll and picking out like this grip could have been different. This grip's not got a purpose. Like you should have moved here at this point to prevent this, where if you send it to even someone who's maybe like a better athlete than you, they might just look at it and go, you didn't win it, or like you did something wrong. It's like they can't pick out where the little things are that went wrong.
Yeah, I 100% agree. And, you know, it's hard to say things without sounding like cocky, but like, I think that is something I'm very good at. And I see sometimes other people that do like rolling commentaries or do like, you know, breakdowns of things. And I think what they're saying isn't super helpful to the viewer always. So it's like, I think that it's a skill set that it's hard to, because everyone has different skill sets and pros and cons to the way they think. And I think that one of mine is I'm very analytical that way. And a lot of competitors, you know, not all of them, but, you know, they, like you said, like they're really good at doing, but not all of them really understand what they're doing. I think it's clear when they do, you see some techniques taught. So yeah, I think you have that mind too. So you could, I think especially if I kind of help you with it, you could like make a lot of money that way.
Yeah, I think it'd be interesting. I do think I'm good at it. And like I've watched a lot of breakdowns on grappling, and I see, like you said, like a lot of them are like the advice you're giving. Like I'll use an example. I did a video review for someone who had also sent their video to be reviewed by another black belt. And the other black belt gave them their advice. But I asked, the first question I was asked when I do a video review is like, what do you think went wrong here? And usually what I find is the person's answers are like, oh, you know, like he got the arm bar and I let him like break my grip. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that is what happened. And that's what the other black belt told you. But the real problem is the fact that you even got here in the first place. Like your mistake wasn't letting your grip come apart in the arm bar. That's not what lost you the match. Like you were already in the arm bar. You were losing. Your mistake is 4 minutes ago when you know, did something silly or gave up a position or like completely mismanaged your weight distribution to end up in a position that got you put in the arm bar.
Yeah, with these things, it's like you need to look at the earliest mistake that happened. You know, the early stuff. People think too much about the late stuff. So it's like, you know, the early part, it's like you gave up an underhook, or you like let them get like take a grip off you, and now they could come around and get an angle on you. And it's like they don't think of it as that. They think more like, you know, oh, they passed my guard, that's the problem. But it's like, no, it's like, what did they do early to make it possible to actually do that, right? So that's when I see the biggest mistake when I see people do rolling commentaries, is that they tell you exactly what happened. And like, they'll be like, okay, now he goes to the arm bar, he's got the back, he gets the sweep, got his 2 points. And it's like, we can all see that, but it's like, you know what I mean? So like, it's tell me what's happening and why. And it's funny because I talked about this earlier podcast when I did the commentary on the super fights. I was saying like why things were happening, and a black belt, someone screenshotted me something another black belt said, and they were saying they don't like my commentary and that he should be saying what's happening and like just keeping it basic for the viewer so they know what's happening. Bro, the viewer knows, they know the person's in mount, they know that, all that stuff. So man, it's unbelievable, like how people don't really realize that are kind of doing these things. It's like, yeah, don't say what's happening, say why. I think that's, again, why my channel's done so well, because I don't just say, yeah, I got the arm bar, I got the choke. It's like, it's obvious.
Yeah, I've learned a lot just from watching your channel. Like I've said this before 100 times, but I go to your class, so I pick up a lot afterwards. It's great to watch it and be able to keep watching it.
Yeah, thanks. You know, I think like people at the gym are in such a advantageous position to learn jiu-jitsu because they can learn like so much theory from watching my channel, and then kind of like watch and then learn like the technique in class, and everything comes together so well because it's the same stuff, right? So anyone that doesn't watch my channel at the gym, I'm just thinking like, you're crazy. You know, you can like get so much better, so much quicker. Like take advantage of the fact that, again, everything is goes together so synergetically like that.
And you're posting classes still, right?
Yeah, I'm posting classes, and I'm doing a better and better job, like better audio, better quality, and this and that, and just getting better and better. And the one I'm gonna post today, which will be like a week ago for people hearing, it's like I think it's a really good guard retention video. And what I like too is I filmed like our students actually like drilling it, so like you can see like what they're doing right, what they're doing wrong, kind of. And yeah, it's like, I think it's really cool that I'm showing that part now too, the drilling, because people can pick up on that stuff. Yeah. So I think that was a great idea I had doing filming the classes. But yeah, just to reiterate, if you guys want your grappling footage broken down by Joey, let us know, and we'll make that happen, and we'll make it like, you know, like relatively affordable, and where he can like, you know, make some money and you can get good value from it. Like, you know, I charge $200 an hour just because I don't want to do a whole lot of them. So it's like, I want to kind of price myself out of like doing them all the time. So I understand that's a very high amount. So yeah, we'll make it more affordable, I'm sure. So let's just take one more question. So take this one from Chris.
Hi guys, it's Chris again from Edinburgh. Just want to say I'm loving the podcast. I'm listening now every week. This question is more around coming back from injury. I'm actually due to have a pretty extensive knee operation in the near future, and I was just wanting to know, one, have any of you guys ever had any injuries that's made you like be off and not be able to train for a long period of time, and how did you kind of manage that? And second of all, what would you kind of do? What would your recommendation be for somebody that is still a white belt that wants to keep learning but will probably be unable to do full sort of contact training for a while? And last of all, just wanted to say, Mike, I know you've probably grown the beard back, but you look great, man, and all the best. Take care.
Yeah, so I think just to summarize the answer, just make it easier for us. It's like that I'm gonna have a video out soon, how to get better at jiu-jitsu. You can do like all those things, and while you're injured, basically like doing your homework, like, which is like, you know, watching the jiu-jitsu and stuff like that. And you know, there's lots of things you can do when you're injured, but like, let's talk about you know, some of our injury experiences quick. Like I had you know, my meniscus, I tore it, and I tore a piece off of it, and I was rolling 8 days later after surgery, because basically all they did was they cut the piece off, where if they were to have to if they sewed it together and kind of fix it, then I would have taken a lot longer off. But in my head, I was like, okay, they only took a piece off and then sewed it back, and then, you know, like stitched me up. So like, how much damage can I do to my knee, right? Because again, it's just the piece is gone now. Like they didn't do anything that needs to like stay intact. So I was rolling after 8 days, and which like I think is safe because of the type of surgery I had. So yeah, but most surgeries, like they're like fixing something, and then you have to take lots of time off, make sure you don't, you know, hurt it. Because, you know, Matt at our gym, he was supposed to get a piece of his meniscus taken out just like I did, so he was planning on rolling right away. But then instead they kind of blindsided him, and they fixed it instead. They sewed it up, and then what happened was he retore it, and like quickly after, and then they had to cut out that piece after all. So it's like, he didn't want it fixed. Yeah, he didn't want it fixed, and they fixed it. It broke, and then they just did what they were going to do originally. So he had to go through an extra surgery for no reason when he didn't want it fixed in the first place. You know, because yeah, like, you know, having a piece out of your meniscus isn't great, because basically what a meniscus is, it's like a cushion between your bones. So you have your bones here, right? It's like a pillow kind of in between them, and we don't have that pillow, that cushion. It creates like arthritis, right? So it's not good when it's bone on bone. But for me, at least, it's only like a small piece. So I got a little bit, if I have a little bit of arthritis in the future, I mean, it sucks, but like, you know, what am I going to do? It's like that piece tore off. So yeah, like I think your worst injury is like your knee too, for sure, right?
Yeah, I dislocated my patella 3 times, and I don't have a meniscus. It's torn.
What happened when you dislocated it? Like, what actually happened?
The actual first time, I was throwing a roundhouse kick, and my foot stuck to the floor, and I kept going all the way around, and my kneecap was on the back, pretty much, well, 3/4 the way around my leg. And then in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, I've just turned the wrong way a few times and popped it to the side, and it popped back. Thankfully, that the first time it didn't, I have to go to the hospital, and they had to reset it for me, and I tore everything in there.
So what's going through your mind when your kneecap is pointing the other direction?
I let out a scream like I've never screamed before. I didn't even know a human could make that noise. And then I told them to drag me to the side of the door so I could have a cigarette. This is like 25 years ago when I smoked. And then the ambulance picked me up, and I was just scared shitless, to be honest with you. But as soon as they hooked me up with that morphine, I was like, you guys do whatever you need to do.
Yep.
You got morphine?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you did.
What the hell?
Yeah.
Well, I got nothing.
Would you have wanted it though? Because
no, I was actually like, I think I handled it pretty well. It's like, oh shit.
You handled it very well.
It hurt.
Yeah.
But it was all right. It got put back. It actually took a while to get back to being able to roll.
Yeah.
But like, I'm really bad for getting injured and then coming back too soon. Like, I have a hilarious story I broke my arm. It's probably the worst injury I had in a tournament. Like it got broken, and I got a cast, and I'd signed up to compete the next week in a different city. And I messaged them to get my money back, because I'm like, my arm's broken, I can't compete. And they actually messaged me back being like, well, that's your problem, not ours. Like, we didn't hurt you. We're not refunding it. So I showed up to the weigh-in, and I'd cut my cast off. So I just competed with a broken arm because I'm stubborn, I guess.
How'd the tournament go for you?
I got silver. I won 2 matches, and I lost in the finals by armbar on my broken arm.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at least you can kind of like, you know, make excuses almost, like, you know,
I tapped the moment he pulled my hair. I was like, no. Everyone kind of looked like, what? And I was like, that arm's broken. Like,
I think that's an amazing story. Silver medal with a broken arm. That's insane.
Yeah, I won by, I think I ankle locked both the guys beforehand with the good arm, just because I knew I couldn't do anything else. One of my arms didn't work.
What's the worst injury you've done on someone? Like, have you broken anyone's arm before?
Yeah, I broke a guy's wrist really bad once. I felt really bad about. He let out a nice scream.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think the worst thing though is I jumped guard on someone before they'd like ban jumping guard, and he tried to turn sideways when I jumped, and his knee just like collapsed on this. It was real. I felt really bad, but like it was terrible. When like I didn't know what happened because he screamed, and I was like, what the hell? And then his knee was like just bent completely the wrong way. I was like,
would you jump guard on someone nowadays, or that was kind of something you did back in the past?
I think I might in the right circumstance, but like, because it's not my knee, but I know that sounds terrible to say, but like, I don't know. It was one of those things where like my game's changed a lot back then. And that was like, it was kind of like a weird circumstance where I was up a couple points with like 20 seconds left. And I was like, I don't really want to risk screwing around here. So I'm just going to pull a guard where I can stall for 20 seconds and just like a really bad sequence of events.
Yeah, no doubt.
Yeah.
What about you, Mike? What's the worst you've hurt someone?
I can't say that I've really hurt anybody that badly.
That's good.
I don't think so.
That's a great answer. That's perfect. For me, definitely Joey. I tried to hip throw on him. We talked about it in the past, and he had dislocated his knee. That sucked for Joey especially. And I broke someone's arm in my first MMA fight. I'm pretty sure it was broken and like hyperextended like crazy. And that was probably like the 2 worst ones. And then just like hurt some people's knees here and there. But I mean, like that just happens, and that's just part of it. But I haven't hurt too many people, thankfully.
Oh, back to the previous question for injuries. I fractured my neck in 2 places when I was 19. And I didn't know till 20 years later when I got an x-ray. They said, do you know you fractured your neck before? I had no idea. But I remember what happened. I was doing Japanese Jiu-Jitsu, and the guy dumped me on my head. He weighed 250 pounds. I was choking him out, and he just dumped me on my head.
Well, I just saw on Reddit, I saw, what's it called? Like someone at the ADCC Open. They so I guess there's like a tournament too, the ADCC Open. And then there's ADCC on the weekends. And what happened? Someone like slammed someone else. They were in a triangle. They slammed them, and they had like the fencing response after, which is like really bad, which is like when your body stiffens out, like your leg is stiff and everything. And it's like really scary. And I was reading some of the comments, so I don't know if this is true, but I guess it is like a sign of like spinal and something else like fracture. So yeah, it's like in brain trauma. Well, obviously brain trauma. It's like, yeah, so that's really bad. And it's illegal in that tournament and he still did it. So 100% the guy doing it shouldn't have done it, but also the guy doing the triangle, like you need to be aware that people won't always listen to the rules and you need to protect yourself. So like, I don't blame the guy that got slammed, but also if I was in that position, I would have either made sure I hooked the leg so you can't lift me up, or let go, or just do anything I can to brace myself for that impact, because you can't rely on other people to take care of you. It doesn't matter what the rules are. You can't trust that the rules aren't going to be broken.
So if it's in ADCC rules and you're in a submission, a slam is actually legal. Yeah, so that would have been okay.
But I think for the open, it's not, because I think that I could be wrong, but I think these guys were younger. So
maybe they have different rules for the.
Yeah, because I know in this specific match, the ref was like giving the guy shit because it was illegal. So yeah, but I know the actual ADCC, but I think that's a little different then too. It's like, you know, I wouldn't like, if I was in an ADCC and someone had me in a triangle, I'm going to slam the shit out of them. You know, like that's just like the way it's going to go. This ADCC, we're all putting it on the line, but like it's just some tournament. Like, you know, I don't know if these guys are blue belts or what they were. It's like, man, yeah, it broke the rules and hurt someone, and you just hate to see it.
Yeah, that's bad. I can't imagine getting slammed like that.
Oh, man.
Like Ricardo, Arona, and Pride just knocked unconscious.
It's insane. And what else I was going to say? The slam, Tex Johnson. Was it a slam? So yeah, someone slammed Tex Johnson.
Orlando Sanchez.
Yeah. And so basically Tex Johnson is suing Orlando Sanchez. He's suing Flow Grappling and the referee because slams were illegal under the rule set and he still got slammed. And now he's saying, which could definitely be true, that, you know, it's having, physical impairments on him and now he can't compete. So he wants to sue for the money that he could have made competing. So yeah, I think that's like, you know, it's a tricky one because if it is illegal in the tournament, you know, and then the guy does it anyways, then, you know, again, it's illegal. So like now you have like permanent damage, but at the same time, I mean, if it's truly permanent and he can't compete after, it's like, that really sucks. But if it's not, then no one ever is going to want to let him on their card anymore because they're going to worry they're going to get sued. So it's a tough thing, but like, you know, Tex Johnson is like, and I don't mind talking a little bit of shit against people that are like actually assholes because, like, you know what I mean? So like, I won't talk shit about someone that I don't know if they're an asshole or not, but I mean, Tex Johnson, he like punched William Tackett. Is that his name? Is it William? Because there's two Tacketts. Is it Andrew Tackett? Which one's the older one?
William's older, I think.
Yeah. So he punched William Tackett in a grappling match. Like he was just getting frustrated. He was losing. So he literally just punched him. And then the friggin' match kept going, and Ben, include this footage. And then the match kept going on. They didn't even stop it. You know, I think it's like the organizations and the refs' responsibility. Someone gets punched in the grappling match, you end it right then and there. It's like, you're disqualified. You fucking just punched this dude. So yeah, I don't like that about Tex Johnson. And also doesn't mean it deserves to be slammed either. So yeah. What are your guys' thoughts like on that?
I don't know. It could set a precedent where every time you get injured in a match like that and you start suing, that could be a domino effect. And, you know,
but at the same time, if it's an illegal technique, that's where the real trouble comes in. I mean, 100% if it was legal and he's trying to sue, it's like get lost. But it's like if it's illegal and the guy did it anyways, and now you have permanent damage, I mean, I'd be pretty pissed too.
So would I, yeah. I guess you have to take it case by case, yeah.
That's like a real gray area. Like, have you ever been slammed?
Only from like dumb white belts that are like, they have their back and they try to like slam me backward like that. I've never been like truly slammed.
I've been slammed once in a tournament.
How'd that feel?
Not good. It really hurt. Like it knocked the wind out of me. I had to take a second to like recompose, but the guy got DQ'd, but it is, I feel bad for people who get slammed. Like I landed like on the back, like where, you know, the meaty portion of the back. So I was okay. And it wasn't a terrible slam. But like, I feel really bad for people who get slammed and get hurt because it does not feel good.
Yeah. Did you guys see the Instagram reel that I posted of that slam? You guys didn't see that?
Not yet.
So yeah, make sure you include the footage, Ben. I'll send it to you. So like this guy, he just took the guy down with like an outside trip and then he got called for a slam. And it was not a
Yes,
yeah.
I did see that. It wasn't a slam.
It wasn't a slam whatsoever. It
all.
was such bullshit. And then you got DQ'd. And then it's funny, some people on TikTok were like questioning me. They thought it was like that he actually got 2 points and I wasn't like showing the footage right or something. And they're telling me, send me the footage. I'm like, I don't got time to send you the footage. It's like the whole video. It's like, you know, find it yourself. Like, I don't got any onus to do this to you. It's for you. So like, that's kind of funny. But yeah, he got a DQ for that. So it's a funny thing when there's like horrible refs, like, you know, and but I want to like also state like reffing is very hard. And like I used to be a ref in soccer and I was horrible. I was terrible. And I got so much shit from people from being so bad because I just didn't really care, you know, like about doing a good job. Now I care about doing a good job with everything, but before I didn't. I remember so many times like people, like this one time this guy wanted to fight me. He was like an adult. I was like 15 years old and he wanted to fight me. I remember one time the whole crowd of parents booing me, both teams. Yeah. I pissed them off equally.
That's impressive.
Yeah, I mean, I was just young and dumb. Like, what I would do too is I would like, you know, I say like the tournament matches were like 25-minute halves. I would do like 23 minutes or 22 minutes because I didn't want to ref. You know, it was stressful. I'm like, I don't want to do this, so I make them like shorter. And then people, it's really funny. This guy, he came up to me. He's like showing me his watch, and he's like, like supposed to be 25-minute halves is like 21 minutes or whatever. And he was like harassing me. I told him like you're being I call him an asshole or something. He's like, what'd you say to me? I'm like, I said you're being a hassle. And like I was so proud of myself. I thought it was such a good cover up on the spot, because then I got in trouble. Like the soccer club's talking to me. I'm like, no, I just told him to be he's being a hassle. And then he's like getting all mad at me. But no, I called him an asshole.
It was clever on the spot.
Yeah, I thought so too. But again, I was like probably I don't know, at that time probably between 13 and 15, around. No, maybe younger. I'm not sure, but yeah, it was not a good ref.
It's impressive to have both sides hate you at once.
Oh yeah, they did, because I was terrible. I was absolutely awful.
Parents for kids sports though are insane. Like reffing kids sports, I've reffed a lot of jiu-jitsu. It's terrible, man. The adults are usually pretty easy. It's the kids, their parents go insane.
Yeah,
They're
exactly.
wild.
Man, on the weekend I saw this kid getting armbarred, and the ref was just letting it go. Like, just like, I was like, oh my God, stop this. Like, it was like completely extended, and then they're just like letting it go. I was like, this is crazy. But then I see sometimes too, the refs stop it so freaking early, where it's like the armbar's not even locked in. And like, it's frustrating for me, like, you know, because I watched like a student, they lost because they were in this bullshit armbar, but like, I knew they weren't in danger. And I'm not like, you know, trying to put my students in danger and have them like hold out at all costs, but it was like the armbar wasn't even close to on, so it's really frustrating. And then I see that match where it's like they're letting them just break the kid's arm, and like it's just like so much inconsistency within reffing. So yeah, it's frustrating.
Yeah, it's hard as a ref because like you do want to save a kid's arm, and sometimes kids are stubborn and won't tap. But like, I think that's part of my problem when you get like guys who are like blue belts and stuff reffing kids. Not that they can't understand the rules in ref, but that there's a difference between understanding the rules and understanding the position and knowing like this kid's in danger, this kid's not in danger. Like they could both be in an arm bar at the, you know, same amount of like bend, but one kid could be fine and another could be in danger, and you have to really understand that, to like discern that. But I've had parents like try and fight me at a jiu-jitsu tournament because like their kid was getting arm barred. The arm went perfectly straight and I stopped it. The other kid lets go, and the kid who was getting arm barred now just like jumps on top into mount after I said stop, and the kid let go of the arm. So he's not resisting anymore. And the parent's like, he was fine. See, he was just escaping. I'm like, he escaped because the other kid let go because I stopped him. And the parent just kept going, and then eventually was like yelling that he wanted to fight me. I was like, man, there's a mat right here. God. We can do this. Like, I don't think you train because you don't have a clue what just happened with that arm bar.
Exactly.
If you're confused about the difference between letting go and escaping, like we can do this.
Exactly. And if a referee makes it a mistake, I mean, you just have to accept that it's over. Like, there's nothing you can do to change their mind. It's like you can't change calls after. So like, being a dick is like not going to help at all. And yeah, that's really important.
It's the worst feeling as a ref too, is like stopping something and then immediately being like, oh shit.
Yeah,
that was wrong.
I remember I was refereeing the combatives, like for the Army, their jiu-jitsu tournament, and I was refereeing this one match, and then afterwards, the guy nicely told me, like the coach of the guy, he's like, you know, it should have been the other guy, like my student should have won because he should have got pass points when he got mounts, and I was thinking, oh shit, you're right, because he went from half guard to mounts. I only gave him mount points. and he would have won if he had those 3 points for the pass. So I completely messed up, and the match was over, and then the dude lost because of my fault. And then it's kind of funny, the dude ended up getting posted to Trenton, Jake Hertel, and then he's a student of mine. So I felt really bad. I told him, I'm really sorry I made you lose that match. You know, you didn't, that's my fault. So, you know, it's just so hard to like pay attention to so many different things. It's also hard to pay attention to who is who, because like, especially in the competitors, or if they're wearing the same gi. And guys, thank you for watching the podcast. If you guys enjoyed it, let us know. We always appreciate seeing the comments, and yeah, we'll see you guys next time.